I gotta mute. I have to mute that one. Welcome everyone to the Wednesday Night Live show. Before we get started, on behalf of everybody here on the Wednesday Night Live team, our thoughts and prayers go out to the Green family. I know firsthand how hard it is to see our loved ones suffer. So we got your back, Nick. You're in our thoughts and our prayers, and hopefully things get somewhat better for you guys. Anything you guys want to add to that before we jump into the show?
Yeah, I mean, I think, family first, obviously, always. I watched this video today. I was like crying at work, like watching it. I've been watching him for so many years, and, it's hard to see, somebody that you care about go through something like that. But I feel like your mental health above everything else is the most important thing. And if you're not in it, then you should just take care of you and come back. And all of us will be waiting for you when you do.
Exactly. Yeah. And people don't, family is priority number one. I always say that above everything else is that, take care of family first, take care of yourself first before you invest in other things. So I can identify a little bit with Nick. I don't quite have the same challenge that he does. My mom is starting to lose her memory at an older age. Both my parents are getting up there. And so I've had a lot of internal kind of wrestles with the idea that, things might change in 10 years or so. We'll see. Hopefully they can make it to 100. But I'm starting to see the changes too. So I can certainly sympathize with what he's going through.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like for most of us, our parents are our superheroes. My dad's my first superhero, so my hero, or you want to call it superhero, whatever. But he's my first hero, so it's tough seeing them kind of dwindle and start getting old. And I saw an article the other day that blew me away, but they said that we couldn't live past 117. And I was like, well,
why? There's probably some Tibetan monk who's like 130 eating yogurt at the top of a mountain who's doing just fine.
He would never tell you, though.
He doesn't know. He's like, yeah, I don't know. The sun was over here when I was born. I don't know.
Well, I think modern medicine has changed a lot for us, and I do think that the average age is probably extended to a little bit longer than probably what the average age was, 100 years ago. So,
especially for us vapors. Yeah, look at all the amazing things nicotine does for you. I feel like,
I'm
invincible. Damn it.
If they had it back during the Renaissance time, they might have lived longer than 35.
That's right.
Who knows? Right. We're not making that. It's not a medical show. We got a couple things. I thought this would be kind of fun, and just a little bit about brands, because a lot of us have some loyalty to certain brands, and I started thinking, well, it'd be kind of cool to, what brand, which is kind of hard now because some of them have kind of fallen out, but what brands have helped you throughout your journey as far as e-liquid, hardware, Facebook group pages. I've considered them a brand. So YouTube channels, and of course, family and friends. So you guys think about that while we go through the show, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and kind of find out, what specific brands kind of helped us through our journey. So, and before we get into all that, let's say hello to Mr. Tim up there. Tim, how's your week going, buddy?
What good, people? What good? So, wow. There's probably a million stories I could tell you. I know I'm sort of the consummate storyteller, but I did have a wonderful past 2 weeks. I had company in town. It was a fantastic adventure, and we had a great time. I'm sorry I wasn't on the show a couple times, but hey, priorities, right? Priorities. So, I had to take care of things here on the home front. But I guess my interesting story for the show tonight is I have had the most unusual year this year with hummingbirds. Now, I know that is quite a switch from like me talking about shooting kids down at the pool with squirt guns and stuff. But I've just had this crazy year where I guess maybe I'm the only feeding station that's in my general area of the neighborhood. And I know that birds have a bit of a migratory behavior where like they always come back to the same nesting spot. And then typically if there's a food source, all the more, right? Mm-hmm. So I've had the feeders out for several years, and this is about the time that, activity ramps up because they're getting ready for the migration back down south. But I think I've got like the whole migration coming to my backyard. It's
Oh,
nuts. I look out my back window. I got like 8 to 9 of them on the feeder all at the same time. I could show you a video just to give you an idea of it. You'll have to. Can I block the sound? Only because it's kind of nerdy, sort of like.
if it's music that you think might get us,
It's not music. It's actually just me filming this video for a friend,
okay.
and so I'm talking to my boss. I'm talking to my boss. So hold on, let me pull this video up here real quick. I just want to show everybody, so you don't think I'm nuts, right? Like
No, I'm excited. I love hummingbirds.
everybody remembers the movie The Birds, you know, Alfred Hitchcock and all that stuff. So let me bring this up here real quick. Let me make it big screen. All right, so I think I can just turn the sound off when I share, can't I?
Yeah, it'll you click that box, yeah.
Oh, they went back to share screen and not present. How convenient of them.
Oh, they must be listening.
Yeah, I'm not going to share the tab audio. I will narrate for you. How about that? All right, let's see if this. All right, so I don't know if you guys can even see that. I hope that you guys can see. I can't make it any bigger. I apologize. Anyway, this was my feeder yesterday, midday. So if you just watch the little flying things, I swear it gets nuts. So hold on. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong play button. I'm hitting the play button on the StreamYard.
I do that all the time.
Oh my God. You can probably hear me talking. Look at them all. There's like 7.
Crap, you do have a lot.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, you'll see. And then they just keep clustering and stuff. Look at them. There's like 8 to 10 coming in at all times.
You got some crack in that fucking thing.
I can't keep the feeder full fast.
You got to put another one out there.
I have 2. And they only like that one. I don't know why.
Huh. I wonder why.
Oh, 50 pounds of sugar. Holy crap.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Some kids are having a sugar high tonight. Look at them. It's like a bee swarm.
Oh, they're so cool.
That is crazy, dude.
All right.
You should go out there and stick your hand out there, see if they'll come to you.
Well, if you hold like the little, they sell like the single little cups. I've watched videos of people like,
and then people have them like on their glasses and stuff. Yeah. But it was funny because that same morning, real early, they're out there like at 6:30. And I like went to open the blinds to kind of check and see, you know, how we were doing on water level. And I guess one of them saw their reflection in the door, like in the glass on the door, and flew like right up to the door. And I must have been about 1.5 inches away from this thing. Didn't even see me because all it saw was its reflection. But anyway, that's kind of been my latest adventure, is just feeding the hummingbirds. So
all right. Allison, top that, Allison.
I mean, I also have a hummingbird feeder. I do, actually. I got into a fight with my HOA about moving it out back because I know that hummingbirds are super smart and they remember to come back. So I'm like, no, it's been out there since I moved in here. So I apologize as well for not being on the show. You know, my son is a senior and he's in marching band, and this season is extremely busy because he's the section leader for the trumpets. And so I'm not missing any of that. So hopefully after November, things will calm down a little bit and I'll be back to my normal schedule. And then we survived our first hurricane. So that was fun. Couple tornadoes touched down by my house. There was like some videos like right up the street of some cars being tossed around and spun around and stuff. There was actually one that was like flipped over on the highway and spun around, and it was a pregnant woman that was in the car, and she's fine and the baby's fine. So I thought that was really cool that nobody really got hurt, but it's that time of year again where I was trying, every time I tried to get on the show when you had Greg on, I kept losing the Wi-Fi and it wouldn't connect. And I was like, all right. And then this final time it looked like it was going to work, and then the power went out. And I was like, you know what? It's just not meant to be.
Nah, don't worry about it. I saw an article the other day that was talking about how many the percentage of how many babies are made during hurricanes. It was pretty outrageous. People
laughing because everyone's running.
People that are locked in their homes. What else can we do? Let's make a baby.
Well, you're here.
Seemed like a good idea at the time.
Exactly. Oh, Timmy, say hello to everybody.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wednesday Night Live Show. Yes, I'm back to go ahead and ramble for the next 5.5 minutes while I go ahead and say your names like you haven't heard your names before ever in your entire life. But we're going to make sure that everybody knows that you're here in the chat right now. So,
Hey, Tim, I did a horrible job with it last week. That's all I'm saying.
Did you? Yeah, I apologize for the old man. We're the same age, but I'll call him an old man in that case. So I apologize for all the rumble, fumble, stumble, Len Berman name calling last week. So we'll try to do a better job tonight. Girl power out of the
Tim, no, I completely forgot that whole segment.
Oh, you know what? Hey,
You forgot.
everybody, John owes you one. He owes you one. Or if you can come up with a great dare, he's got to take one for the team because he botched it. So that's okay. So no, he isn't gonna like run naked down the street and go streaking or anything like that. You know, like make him vape something that he doesn't like or something. Let's see his grimace on camera. Girl power right out of the gate. Pam Spraggins, good to see you, and Mallory Gates, the two power women in the chat tonight. Good to see you guys. Scrolling. Peggy 3. Let's call it 3. Peggy at eSource. Good to see you. eSig Source. Sorry, I left out the SIG part. That was bad of me, but I'm still batting 1,000 compared to John last week. Rifleman, good to see you. How are you, sir? Wonderful to see you. And look who changed his name. Do we have enough emojis to go ahead and recognize that Addy Tooney is now just Tooney 219? Addy trying to get slick, trying to come in here all disguised. And we see you, Addy. Your camouflage didn't work because we know those emojis anywhere. Let's see. Let's keep going. Redden, great to see you. Haven't seen Redden in a while. Great to see you back, sir. Wonderful to have you on the show. I know I saw Anthony Estrada down there. That's because I was at the bottom of the list and I scrolled my way up and Anthony was in here. Good to see you, Anthony. I mess with the mod pods. It's all fair. Whatever keeps you from smoking, bro. I know how it goes. Rog. We got Rog. Wait, and we got to have his counterpart. I know he'll show up here at some point here in the
Yeah, he'll be in.
Rog is here. Good to see you, Rog. How are you, sir? And I think James R. He did sneak it. Look, he did come in there right at the end. See, he's sneaky too, sneaky little pirate. Good to see you, James. How are you, sir? I think Tom Morowitz is here. I haven't seen Tom in a while. Good to see. Well, that's probably because I haven't been around. So I apologize for that. Good to see you, Tom. How are you? Good, sir. Michael Redfern in the chat. All these wonderful people that we have come back and support us every week. I'm scrolling, and I think we got everybody. If I missed somebody, I apologize.
Did you get Steve and Michael?
Did I get who?
You got Michael just now. Steve.
I got Michael Redfern. He's in here. Yeah.
Right,
every time I see his last name, I just think of Australia.
Okay.
I've said that before. Redfern. I've been to Redfern before on the train. So anyhow, but that's it. Good to see you guys on the show. Let's go.
Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, I completely. It wasn't that I was nervous. I just completely forgot to say hello to everybody in the chat, and I just kind of went right into it with Greg last week, and he's just. Let me just say, he is even my son goes, dude, that dude looks so cool. He looks like he's just laid back, relaxed in his recliner, just no cares in the world. Just he goes, yeah, that dude looks super relaxed, Dad. I was like, yeah. Tonight we kind of want to know about your journey and what brands kind of helped you. So I got a couple starred already that I seen in the chat. So kind of let us know. I know it's difficult, like I said, with e-liquids. Some of us have been vaping a long time, and some of those brands have kind of faded away. But we love to know what those brands were that kind of helped you, that got you over the hump, and hardware as well. Hardware for me was a big deal because in the beginning, I, like as probably most of us, really frustrated with the new stuff that was coming out. It seemed to leak. It didn't work. Screws were stripping, all kinds of stuff. So, but some of us stuck it out and we've got better products out of it. And of course, Facebook groups. I think Facebook groups have been a big part of a lot of our journeys. And some of us that have been doing it for 9-10 years and, Tim was a big part of the Facebook group page. He would come in there and he would help people with questions, and it was really nice to see a new member come in and our members, that was the good thing about that group, Tim. The questions were always the same, but no one acted like, oh my God, that's the 1,000th time that question's been
Yeah,
asked.
we didn't really let people kind of like chew on people for asking repetitive questions. I think we did sometimes maybe say, hey, look, if you use the search feature, you probably get a lot of answers to your questions. But no, that was really sort of, I think for me, sort of that happy place about being in that group was not because it was the Zamplebox group or whatever. It was a group, but it was a group of like-minded people talking about and needing help with the devices that they were using in their journey. And that's really what this community is primarily based on. And that's helping each other.
Yep. YouTube channels as well. Some of the early days YouTube channels weren't just about reviews. A lot of them went into a lot of detail that kind of helped us kind of learn our devices and tips and tricks and how to stop some of the tanks from leaking. Remember those? Those were good YouTube. And then, of course, let's not forget friends and family. I don't know if a lot of us have been in that situation. Maybe in the chat, if you were introduced to vaping by a friend or another family member, we'd love to hear that too as well, because that means that the message is getting out there and people were spreading it in the beginning. I don't know how much so much nowadays, but with all the other nonsense that's going around, everyone's kind of. Do you feel like you guys feel like we're like the closet smokers now in society when it comes to,
a little
yeah.
bit,
a tiny bit.
I mean, I don't, but I know that other people do feel that way.
Yeah. I think I obviously with a lot of the sensationalism that surrounds the idea of vaping in general, I think a lot of people felt that they needed to retreat and keep it a little discreet, which, I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, maybe we should have been like that all along and kind of kept it a little bit, not on the DL, but not been so bombastic at times. But I don't think at that time any of us really thought we'd be facing any of this. So
I think we were also so excited that we quit smoking, like that we wanted to be like, holy shit, this works. Like, I think most of us were shocked at how well it worked, that we just wanted to tell everyone, especially other smokers, because you want them to switch.
Yeah.
The tough part was, and I always told myself, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And I was that guy that was like, oh, you got to taste this. Oh, you got to taste it. Pre-COVID, put your lips on my mod. Taste it. Taste it. This is amazing.
Is that a G-Box 200? In your hand, John, the green thing. Is that a G-Box 200? Good luck. I don't think I've used mine in like 4 years.
I went out and grabbed it out of the case. I said, you know what? I have
squonking tonight. Look at him. He's still squonking on RDTA.
Actually, I am following Grim Green. This is retro for me. This is the iJoy tank, the one with the pirate on it. Actually, I forget what it's called.
James R. created that.
Yeah. One day John's going to open up a vaping museum.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wanted something different. It's like I'm kind of moving things around and I had this shelf full of stuff and I was like looking at it and I was like, what haven't I used in a while, and I started grabbing. I grabbed a few things, but I realized I don't know what happened to them. I don't know if they're in battery I had those little battery cases, but I kept grabbing mods that were the 21700s, and I can't find those batteries. So I had to order some today after the show. I got to, because I can't use like 6 mods. It's like, I can't use that one.
Well, don't you got the adapter tubes?
I can't find those either.
I know, because that's the kind of shit we just throw in a box like, I'll never need those. And then the day comes and you need them and you don't know which ones go to which.
It's probably in the box full of tiny screwdrivers.
Exactly.
So we kind of did the e-liquid before, because a lot of us, we talked about the e-liquid brand that we kind of talked about the flavor, but was there a specific brand, Allie, that you, for a while there, that was the brand you bought?
So I've been using the Aquapure now for probably 5 years, but that's because before then I was using 28 Days Vape. I want to say it was called. It was called Glass Slipper, and it was like a mango grapefruit. It was really, really good juice, and you could buy it in like a 120 mil, like giant bottle, and they gave
Yeah.
really good discounts and stuff. And they steeped their juice for 28 days before they shipped it out the door. That was their whole thing. And the juice was so good. And then they closed down one day and I couldn't get it anymore. So I had to try to scramble. And I'm one of those people where when I find a flavor I like, I don't try really anything else. I'm kind of, I can't even vape anything else. Like it kind of, I'm like, oh, that's gross. Like I can't do it. So it took me a long time to find something else that I could use daily.
Yeah, we all go through that like 6-month kick where it's just that bottle and then just keep reordering.
Yeah.
Tammy, I think I know yours.
Well, it morphed into Jam Monster and Monster e-liquids. I think just because I really got into the peanut butter stuff that they put out, and then I noticed that they had all these other lines that were like fragmented off the main line that I started. So I bought a ton of that stuff. But yeah, there was probably a handful throughout the years. I always forget the one. I have to always go back in my my pictures to take a look at it. But there was one. It was called Bearded Lady, and it was by
I remember Bearded.
They were like stash vapes or something like that, and it was a raisin cookie. And I had never had a raisin cookie vape, and that stuff was addicting as hell. And then they went away, and then they came back, and then that flavor was gone. But yeah, I would say Monster Labs probably was the consistent go-to in most occasions, just because me personally, when I transitioned from dessert vapes to fruit vapes, because dessert vapes just wore themselves out. They all became one-dimensional to me, and I never could find anything that was different that could differentiate itself. So when I went to fruits, it had to be really juicy, really full flavored fruits. I couldn't stand those kind of faint, hinty kind of fruit liquids. So yeah, Monster Labs kind of had that one nailed. It was like biting into a strawberry or eating a handful of blueberries or whatever. So I love that stuff. And the blackberry, bomb.
Yeah. So for when mine was barista, I vaped the crap out of that. I must have vaped a gallon of that salted caramel macchiato a month. It was just nonstop for me. And that was the one flavor I just couldn't stop. That was the one that I just, every single tank I had or mod that I was using had salted caramel macchiato in it. And that was just nonstop until they came out with it was the strawberry watermelon menthol. And I couldn't put that one down. That one was just, I could not put that one down. But let me ask you both guys, and then you guys out there are too as well. Would either of you have been happy with that brand if they would just continue? Would you still be vaping that for the rest of your vaping journey?
If that was the only option?
If that was the only option.
Sure, just because of the diversity of the flavor lineup. You know what I mean? It's not like they only had 2 or 3 that you kind of struggled with, or maybe one that you kind of stuck to. There's several in their lines that I could go with. And, if they trimmed it down and had to drop a few flavors, I think I'd still be just fine with Monster Labs.
Yeah, you'd be just, if you went in the store and you just said, I want Monster line, that's it. you'd be good.
I think so. I mean, like I said, they have so many flavor options across their entire product line that it's really sort of endless. You can go with the homegrown, just strawberry, blueberry, one-dimensional type thing. I mean, of course, you get the toast and the butter and all that other yah in there at the same time. But then you got like the mango guava that they got, and a bunch of the other ones like lemon and banana and just apple. It just goes on and on and on. You just never get tired.
And you too, Allie? You've been happy?
Yeah, because I stick to one flavor forever.
Yeah,
like I said, I don't ever switch. I did used to use like dessert flavors at night. Like I used to love the Drip Witch, which I still occasionally get, but I just found out actually today at work that they're no longer making it. So I guess they're out of the game now too, which is really sad.
Oh man, Rifle, you just made me realize I haven't had that one, and that one was so friggin' good. That butter toast was so friggin' good. Go ahead, Tim.
Well, you're talking about Monster Labs did buttered toast? Did they actually have just a buttered toast? I thought it was always fruit mixed with the butter and the toast. Maybe I'm misreading the comment.
I think he's just saying that he's amazed at how they nailed the buttered toast flavor.
Okay.
With the jam.
Yeah.
Well, so what I was gonna say when I first read the comment is that that to me right there just sort of like exemplifies why e-liquid and flavors and stuff always become somewhat subjective, because for me, I didn't get much of the butter and the toast in there. Like maybe it added to a little bit of the sweetness, the overall sweetness, maybe the butter, but I didn't feel like that was the predominant flavor profile. And then similarly,
Similarly.
um, with the peanut butter stuff, I was ranting and raving about that stuff, and then people were like, "Oh, it's disgusting. All I get is the peanut butter, and I don't get any of the fruit." I was the exact opposite. I got more of the fruit than I got of the peanut butter. I think to me it was more of an accent on the fruit flavor. So
I,
it just
I think you're gonna laugh, but I think the reason some of the flavors that we didn't get in certain lines is because we don't bite into a piece of toast and go, yeah, that's toast. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you don't associate a certain flavor with toast. You just know it's toast. So that's how I look at it. It's not like I bite into a piece of toast and go, yeah, that's toast.
Well, also though, the flavor changes on how long you leave it in the toaster. Like
Yeah,
that's
that's
well,
true.
right.
do you use
Yeah,
butter or margarine? Like, there's
Yeah.
things that can make toast taste different to you.
that's true.
Nutella.
Very true. Very true.
They need a Nutella toast flavor. Then I'd be on.
Oh,
God.
chocolate is one of the hardest ones to pull
Yeah,
off, and I just don't
yeah.
think that Nutella would
I thought
translate very
Nutella
well.
was also hazelnut and chocolate, though. You might be able
It's
to find
hazelnut.
a hazelnut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nutella is made from hazelnut. So
Yeah.
yeah, it
I
would
do
work.
like the creamer, but Nutella is good. I like Nutella. I just don't know if I want to vape it.
Yeah.
I don't-
Timmy,
Yeah.
what was the hardware for you? Did you stick to a certain line?
Yes.
You kind of? I remember you. Yeah.
I was pretty much a single. What do they call a single issue vapor? For me, it was Wismec and the Jabo line. Like after I kind of got through the clone phase and I was doing the mech mods, and then obviously we were all kind of dealing with the ego twist and the little cardos and stuff like that. Once it got into actual mod level stuff with RDAs and tanks and all that other stuff, I went with Wismec. Primarily, form factor was an issue for me. So that diamond shape of the Wismec devices, just you could really hold it in your hand, and it felt good in the hand. They were well crafted, at least in my opinion. They were well crafted. I did encounter a bunch of people who had really bad experiences with them. I've never had one failure of their devices. I've even I still have my original RX 200S behind me. I dropped that sucker like a grenade, and it friggin' things went flying everywhere. It's all scuffed up and it looks like shit anymore, but it just was always a solid rock device. Now, what I did find out later on, though, is that there were some issues with the 510 pin on the RX 200S, and it was causing certain RDAs to misread the ohms on certain devices. Not all, on some, because you could take that same RDA off the Wismec and drop it onto another device and you get a totally different reading. So I will give credit where credit's due in people's criticisms that there were some issues with a flaky 510 pin on the 200S, but I ended up getting the RX 2S or 2.3, or was it the 2.3, where you could go from a 2 battery to a 3 battery setup. I got the squonker that they had. I forget the actual name of it. It was like it was D. It wasn't like S for squonk. It was like the D something or whatever. So I got the other smaller one. They had a tinier one that came out later on.
Yeah, I know.
So there's 4 of them back there right now. So that was me.
Yeah. And you know what was nice about their stuff? They're early. You guys were talking early into vaping with the Wismac coming out with their stuff, but they never had a door issue. Never fucking had a door issue where the door would just fucking pop open when you set it down on a table, or if you dropped it. Yeah, if you dropped it, I'd say about 80% of the time the door stayed on, even with the RX 200. and that was that was just held by the magnets might have flew out, but the door stayed together. How
Yeah,
about you?
never had a problem with the door on the 200S. I mean, even when I dropped it at that party one time, I remember watching the thing just batteries shot left and right. I mean, it looked like it had exploded. And I picked it up and I was like, holy crap, it stayed in one piece. And I mean, no dents, no, it just
You're out of
scuffed up the
focus,
paint,
Tim.
just scuffed up the paint. And I mean, it was always a solid rock. So I
You're
can't
out of,
really complain too
you're
much.
out of focus, Tim. You're out of focus. You're so beautiful. I don't want to upset the crew.
That seems to work. I let it focus on the back of my chair and it brings me right back. So
I'm gonna bring something up because it's the funniest thing ever, but it's that you buy that new mod, everybody remembers this, and you drop it for the first
Oh
time.
my God.
You're just like, ah!
Yeah.
Oh my God. I got the Aspire Play-Doh. It had like the glass cylinder on the inside, and as I'm putting it together, it fell out. And you could not get a replacement. The thing was brand new, and I was like, well, I cannot use this now until this glass comes out. And I'm like emailing Aspire, when are you coming out with the glass? Like, I refuse to buy another whole kit. I was so pissed.
Yeah. I bought and these were hard to get back then, but I bought a brand new rig mod, the mech mod, and it was when they came out with the insert. The button was in the inside, and so I dropped it the first day I had it. Now listen, these were, I think back then 150, 175, and it was copper, and I dropped it and it fell just perfect on the edge, so it damaged the button, which made it completely useless. Yeah, and first day, didn't ever got to use it. Never got to use it. Now it just sits there and it just tarnishing.
Yeah, but couldn't you buy the buttons and stuff? I mean, those were somewhat modular.
The button was well, I don't know how you say it, but it went in the inside. So you pushed
it was recessed.
Yeah, it was reset. The walls.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was garbage. It was done. What was the line of hardware for you, Allie? What was the?
Oh, so working in a vape shop, it was difficult to choose one thing, but I used a bunch of different mods. I probably bought every mod that came into the store, and I shopped online and watched videos. So I had a lot of mods, but I always used the Falcon tank for my sub-ohming. And every time I got a kit, I would try the tank, and I just never got the same flavor that I would get from that Falcon tank. We actually still carry it, like at our stores, because customers still buy it and they love that tank still. So I mean, I used that for years. The flavor on that thing was amazing, and I never had any leaking issues with it.
And what was nice about that is their coils were always so good, no matter where you bought them. They were always legit, to where we were kind of running into issues with the smoke, whatever you want to call them, with their coils. So
the smoke coils were always duds. I always got duds, and we used to buy them and sell them in singles. So you buy a coil, you pop it in, it's like, oh shit, now that was the only one I had. I got to go back to the store and get another one. So I mean, the Falcon, I never had an issue with it.
Yeah. Mine was Cave Fun, not Cave Fun. I'm sorry, Kanger. I bought the shit out of Kanger when I started switching over everything. Kanger tube mods, Kanger, those ones that when they came out with the built-in batteries, I bought everything that said Kanger Tech on it. So it was insane. But yeah, no, I still have a lot of them. I don't know if they still work.
I got a ton of them, dude. If you get in my attic, I have a box. I remember when I used to go out and get new tanks, because I'd get new mods and stuff. I would buy like 3 or 4 of those of the Kanger minis, because they couldn't keep them on the shelf fast enough. So the moment they were in stock, you basically just bought a bunch of them. Now looking back on it, I'm like, why did I buy that many? I realized it was so I could have different flavors going in different tanks at different times. But I'm like, what's the difference? You're just replacing the silica wick coil in there or whatever they were using at the time. So, but yeah, if I go upstairs right now, I could probably pull about 8 or 9 of those sons of bitches out of the box.
Yeah, who was that one company that had the tube? They were big, and it was a built-in battery, so you couldn't replace the battery. But I can't remember. Everybody was buying them, and they were shaped like a mech mod, but they weren't a mech mod. They had a little button. God, I can't remember the name of that brand. I'll have to look it up, but it's an older one.
We carry a bunch of those. I mean, we had a Joytech one, we had the smoke one, the Kanger one. We had a bunch of those. So I think a lot of people made those for a while, like where the glass was still attached, like to it as well. Is that what you mean?
No. This was just a
just
tube. The tube, and I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was really thick. It was really thick, and people were buying them like crazy and putting sub-ohm tanks on top of them. I just can't remember the.
oh, I know what you're talking about.
I
I
cannot for the
didn't
life.
have one. I was one of those little clone fiends.
They
I
were
was
expensive. They
Yeah.
were expensive.
We did have those. I cannot remember who made them though.
And
Yeah.
I'm thinking back that I think they were really kind of the first to have that shape or come out with it. I think before Kanger did or anybody else. Well, other than the little tiny pen ones that came out. Mount Baker Vape. God, I remember.
Yeah, I ordered stuff. You know what, that I struggle with them a little bit because I was not schooled well enough to understand the whole flavor shot kind of thing. Remember, you could through
Yeah.
Mount Baker, you could create your own custom juice, and then you could add flavor shots to it. And I always overdid it because I thought, oh, I just want it to be a little bit stronger, and I put a whole bunch of them in there.
It might have been the Aspire tube.
It was Aspire.
It was the Aspire tube. Yeah. They were expensive. I remember looking at them at the vape shop, and I'm like, oh, do I get the Kanger Tech or do I get this one? And everyone was just really pushing that one. And I know some people that still have that still works. It doesn't last. The battery isn't very good anymore in it, but it still damn works. Just like the Kanger. I think you've had one too, Sam. MVP 20 watt.
No,
I
did. Well, here, hold on one second.
That thing could charge your phone. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
No,
that thing was a tank too, man.
No, here, hold on one second. Let me share this real fast. Hold on.
Anytime I sold one of those, I was like, look, you can plug a USB charger and charge your phone on here.
So can I make that bigger? Yeah, I can.
That's what she said.
Can I? There you go. So I had the
I remember that.
The M134. I had that one. That was the one that had.
Is that the iClear 30 or?
Oh, that's the iClear 30. Yes, that's the tank
yeah.
itself, and then you had the VTR, which was that thing was like a brick, man. If you wanted to kill somebody, you needed a weapon in a hot second. That you just throw that at somebody, you were gonna clock them. And then they had the EVIC.
Is that a big ass mod with a Kanger Tech, like a T3S on top?
Basically, yes. Because that was back when they had the beauty rings and all that stuff, and so you had the 510 and it had the real long protruding 510. So when you put it in, you had that huge gap between where the 510 pin connected, and you had this little ring here was more like a beauty ring that sat on the top. But I still have all this stuff. I know I see people post in groups from time to time. They go to some vape shop and the guy who owns the shop is just trying to clear out old shit that he's had sitting in the shop for like 10 years. And people are like getting their hands on M134s and VTRs and all this old stuff, which I'm sure it works just fine. If you got the right device for it, I bet you I could slap a battery in that sucker. God, I don't even know what it uses anymore. I don't even remember if it used 18650s or it used something a little off from that. But anyway, so I had all this old stuff. Yeah, that's all still upstairs.
I got a question for you two. I'm kind of interested to see. Do you think a vape device would ever make the Smithsonian?
Ooh, that's a great question.
I mean, it's such a big fucking. I mean, well, to us, it's a big deal, but I mean, it's literally a world issue.
Well, so I guess the question have cigarettes ever made the Smithsonian? Equal time is what I'm trying to say. But you know what? When you talk about invention, maybe not in the near future, but I feel like when you talk about the origins of vaping and the creation of the device itself, I think that the guy that invented it in general should be recognized for the invention itself. But who's to say? I mean, it's marred with controversy. So
yeah.
What do you think, Allie? You think it would make it?
I mean, I think it should. I mean, it's a huge, development. I think the technology is really impressive. I don't see why it wouldn't, other than the stigma that's now attached to it.
Right. Would you? Let's be honest. A lot of that stuff. That's not all of it. Don't jump my fucking shit, but a lot of it's pop culture shit that's in there. So what was really significant
You're gonna
during
put a fucking jewel in the Smithsonian? Is that what you're gonna say?
That's what I was thinking. That's if you were going to pick one. I didn't want to say it, but if you were going to pick one, it would probably be that original jewel with the original box with the mango
With the mango. You try to steal it, mango pops on in there. Like, damn, John got here first.
Someone breaks into the Smithsonian just to steal the mango pod out of the
Yeah, really. God, those are rare. You know, it's like the Hope Diamond behind glass. Like you're not allowed to even touch it. I don't think everything that is invented inevitably makes its way into the Smithsonian unless it has broader impact on the entire nation or globally. You know, for example, like, you know, planes or rockets or missiles or space flight and stuff like, you know, I don't think that vaping is a monumental national epiphany or anything like that. So,
Maybe.
I mean,
part of
not many lives being saved. I don't know. I think that's pretty substantial.
Well, no, I mean, in my eyes, I just feel like when you know, I lived in DC, so I went to the museum, I went to the Smithsonian hundreds of times, and when you look at what they kind of put out on display, you know, you might see like, you know, the radio or the CD, you know, the CD-ROM or you know, things like that that certainly had a massive impact on pretty much all of our lives. Where yes, vaping might have a wide range of opinions across a large number of people that populate the world, but will the Smithsonian put a Kanger mini in there?
Maybe we'll see one in like a UK museum.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
It'll be a jewel. It will probably be a jewel. Unfortunately, I think it would be a jewel. You can't have 79% of the market not be the actual device that makes it to the Smithsonian.
Yeah,
that's
true.
That's a huge market. We should do. I actually will do that poll on Twitter. Let's see which device would make it to the Smithsonian. That would drive parents of vape so fucking furious to see that post. The Smithsonian? What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. They'd probably be the ire of many. They have like, imagine if they had like a vaping display or something like that. That would be pretty wild.
That would be pretty wild.
Well, you got, if it's not, and then the e-liquid would have to be like fucking unicorn poop or piss.
I'll be taking my great grandkids to the museum. In my day, I used to advocate for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
unicorn poop right there. That got your
Oh, look how good that juice is steeped.
That's got to be hella steeped. Yeah,
they must have taken all the oxygen out of that because it's still clear. How'd they do that?
Oh my goodness! Yeah, they would. Now they're probably already starting the bowl. They're like, oh shit, we got to stop this from getting to the Smithsonian. Allie, was there a specific Facebook group page that kind of helped you out?
I really don't remember. I mean,
no one uses them anymore, so it's pretty hard.
I really utilized YouTube more than anything else. I think I don't think I was in any groups, but then again, all of it was really new to even me when I moved here almost 11 years ago now and started vaping. So, I mean, I just kind of, I utilized YouTube more just because I was trying to learn and understand how to explain to these customers how to use these new devices that were coming into the store. Yeah. So typically I'd buy one and I'd watch a video and open it up and make sure that I could use it. That way I could sell it. But other than that, I never really did that. But that store was extremely busy. Like we were packed all the time. So it was more about like educating the customer.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of those groups were just really even hard to get a post in there. Some of them started, I can't remember the one that was the biggest one. And they had close to, some crazy fucking number. You remember it, Tim? Like over like 200,000 followers on that page.
Which page was that?
There's a Facebook group page, World Vapors Alliance.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
World Vapors Alliance. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's it. That was the name, right? World Vapors Alliance. I
I
think that.
believe that's what it was. I was in that group. I mean, they've all but mostly gone extinct at this point. And now
Yeah,
all I do is get tagged at everyone. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
they said something to me. Oh no, they didn't. They
no,
said
they
something to
didn't.
everybody.
So
yeah. I had
annoying.
to block Joy Tag because they kept tagging everybody in every single post. I was like, dude, stop, man, stop. Hey
I
Tim,
never did ECF rifleman. I was not I was not on the message boards. Probably was a little bit of a late bloomer in terms of community elements of vaping, only because I learned about vaping from a guy at work, a guy that worked across the hall from me. And so I was like, he's like, hey, it came in. And I'm like, oh, what came in? And then he started telling me about it. And then I pretty much felt like after that point, because I was interested in trying it, that I was kind of on an island. I really didn't have any other resource other than running the YouTube. I was unaware that there were even any kind of message board or forum groups or anything like that for vaping. So I was just drawing knowledge from YouTube. And then really for me, it wasn't until I signed up for Zamplebox, and of course um, they sent you the thing to say, hey, join our family lounge so you can be part of the community. So I jumped into that, and then real quickly, it was like, holy crap, wow, I actually have people around me that are doing the same thing, and I can share my experience. I can draw on other people's experience. Real quickly, you built these bonds and friendships with, absolute strangers that, you could just really connect with on a personal level very quickly. And so that was really sort of like peace of mind. It was like, wow, I finally found a home, some people I can actually hang out with that understand me and what I'm going through, or what I'm, getting involved with. And so that was the epiphany for me.
I made him an admin really, really quick. I did.
But
I said, Tim needs to be an admin. Everyone's like, all right.
did you remember, I actually had to kind of interview with Pineapples for that. Like
Pineapple,
he
yeah,
actually, yeah, back when he was there, and he hit me up, and then they were talking about making me an admin, and I was like, okay, cool, yeah, I'd be happy to do it, blah 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 blah. And then he came back and he said, well, no, we can't make you an admin this time around because they needed somebody in a different time zone, so they had admins
Oh, that's right.
across the time coverages, because obviously you got, Zamplebox was supplying people internationally. But then the second time around, yeah, then that, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even hear a peep out of that group anymore, so I don't know what.
No. Yeah, because that group was very weird. We had a huge number in New York, a huge number in the Midwest, and then it seemed like there was this outrageous number of people from Australia. I mean, just this crazy number of people. Like we have to have an Australian person here because no one else is awake. So
That's right. And who did we have? He always hid behind the moniker of the kangaroo.
Neville.
Yeah,
Neville.
Neville. Yeah, we had Neville in there. Yeah, he was a trip. That guy was hilarious.
Yeah,
Well, is hilarious. I don't think he's gone.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's same thing. Facebook group page, matter. As soon as I subscribed, I got the same little email letter. Come join the family group page, and I thought it was great because I was at a point where I felt very uncomfortable in the vape shop because I was an older person, and when I did start here in California, it was 18. So there was a lot at that time, was a lot of 18-year-olds in there. So I really wasn't getting my answers to my questions. And I felt very, very uncomfortable asking. And, so I joined that group, and right away I was like, wow, this is crazy. I mean, just to see, 15,000 people that, I would write something down, and it wasn't like I would write something down and wait an hour. It was like I would write something down, and within 2 minutes somebody was responding or sending you a link to find the information you want, or sending you to a specific YouTube channel, or just answering your question. And I don't
Yeah,
think
I think it was more than that too, though. I think there was a lot of other little fun things that we did in the group, and I'm not talking about team free shit and the giveaways or any of that kind of stuff. I mean, that was a part of all of the groups. There were constantly people doing giveaways and things like that, but we had developed like our own little kind of like traditional ceremonial things that we did, like music and vape Mondays, and we also kind of had I wouldn't call them contests, but more like recognitional things, like who had the most helpful posts for the week and
Yep.
stuff like that. So it did sort of bring you in and make you feel more or a part of the community, however little or however much, you happen to be involved in commenting in there. But, it was just kind of a play,
Yeah.
like it was our bubble, you know what I mean? It was our little bubble where we could, all, communicate collectively and help each other out.
Allie, you would have liked Music Monday. And it
Oh,
was
I would
just
have loved it.
and it was just you vaping to music and record yourself. And of course, they all got except Tim. Tim had this little. I don't know what he was doing, but his videos never got blocked or banned. I don't know. Maybe it's just the obscure music that he was picking. I don't know. They didn't care. But I would pick a song, upload it, and then 20 seconds later, the music audio shut off.
Well, the little quip that I had heard is that, like, especially when Facebook started kind of ratcheting down on being able to play the music due to the copyright. I don't know if it was copyright issues, but they called it copyright issues. But it was, people said talk while the music is playing, and that somehow, I guess, that screwed up the crawler that could detect what, if you were actually playing copywritten music or stuff like that. So it would kind of throw off what it was looking for to determine if it was actually copywritten material in their eyes.
Ali already mentioned the YouTube channel, so I mean, you had to use it basically to learn, so you can be helpful in the vape shop. But who was that? Who was that one channel that, or did you kind of just jump around looking?
I mean, a lot of the times I just put it in the Google, like in the YouTube search, like the device, how to whatever. But obviously, Rip Trippers, I watched a lot. He was always like super full of energy. His videos were hard to get bored watching. Sometimes they were a little much, but he was always very informative. And obviously, Grim Green, Suck My Mod. Like, I used to watch basically anything, but I did watch like a bunch of like juice reviewers as well, because we were starting to get like new lines in that were third party, that weren't stuff that we made. And so that was cool to be able to tell like, what the flavor profile was going to be like and what should I expect when it comes in to try it.
Yeah. Juice reviews were so bad though. It's just
I found some really funny people that I followed on there.
They had to make them funny because it was just like, because I would get the juice and be like, no, that's nothing how you described it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was always the coup de grace, is that, I don't know if all these people were getting paid. I mean, I think we had all determined that eventually some of them were, but there were so many people doing it. And I think in order to continue to get the free stuff coming in so they could continue to review, they would always hype up whatever it was they were reviewing. So it was like, I have not come across one video where anybody's had anything bad to say about whatever it is they're vaping. They always seem to get these winter flavors. And then I'd be like, okay, yeah, you talked me into it now. And then I order a 30 ml bottle because that was your only option. Couldn't get like the little sample 10s or anything like that. And then you'd get it and be like, what is this garbage? I can't believe I actually just spent so that you were down, 18 to 20 bucks for a 30 ml bottle of some crap that, someone had convinced you was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, I'm the same. Rip was the big one for me because he was the first one I found. He came up first when I typed it in there, and it was just. And I'm thankful for him just on building, because he's the one that kind of got me into building, because it was just like his videos were just so crystal clear, and he got goofy, but he really kind of explained what he was doing, and he just made making coils fun for me, and of course Phil. My joke with Phil was I would always prepare my dinner first, and I would get my plate and I would set it in front of me, and I would turn Phil's video on, and I knew it wasn't moving for like an hour. So, but with him, and Daniel to me, because he was kind of like the first guy that kind of took the quality that was actually inside the mods and made it important, and just the build quality, and just kind of showing you how the 510s were soldered, how the boards were put in. and it can give you a good general idea, where you were going to have your issues with these mods. And I kind of worked my way around with him when I would purchase something, because if he said, "Oh, it's going to leak from the 510," I stayed the fuck away from that mod, because I
Yeah.
knew it was going to happen. The board was
Yeah.
going to get fried. I was going to have issues. But yeah, he was a big, it was a big part of my journey. And just Daniel and Phil, because at that time, I think maybe you were too, when you first started, we were all kind of mouth to lung. So Phil was kind of like the guy, to find the products that were going to suit our needs. And, the I hate saying it, clouds people, we didn't kind of get into that until a little later, but yeah.
Yeah.
And Tim, you're the only one. I wasn't introduced to vaping by a friend, so I think you were the only one introduced. But I was going to ask you, when you got introduced to vaping by, did he go, "You got to taste this. You got to taste this"?
No, it wasn't like that at all. It was just he was a smoker like me. I don't even know if he's still vaping to this day. I haven't talked to Jake in quite some time. He's my friend on Facebook, but our career paths got separated at one point. So of course, you kind of lose touch with people over time. But no, we sat across the hall, and then he just made this exclamation, and he was like, "Oh, it came in today. I'm excited." And I'm like, "Well, what did you get?" And he's like, "This electronic cigarette thing." I'm like, "Well, electronic cigarette? Like, what are you talking about?" Like, I didn't really even know anything about them. I don't even believe I had seen a commercial. It was all new stuff to me. And he kind of pulled it out of the box, and he showed me what the setup was. And, and I think he might've made some comments to the effect that, he's like, "I'm trying to quit smoking, and this is supposed to help you quit smoking, and it's better for you." So he was just kind of like showing me what it was. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. And I was kind of going through a phase of my life where I was not only trying to lose weight at that time, I had ballooned out to a lazy 200-pound bachelor, after not long after my first divorce. And I was making better money. So, and living a bachelor life at that time, it was just wicked easier to come home and just order out all the time. And I was eating like cheeseburger subs and onion rings and French fries and just putting all kinds of garbage. So I was trying to lose weight because I had lost a couple friends to heart attacks. And then, obviously, my family had been up my yin yang for years to quit smoking. And, I was getting involved in another relationship at that time, and she was a smoker. And so I was trying to be conscious of the future. And I'm like, yeah, maybe this is something that we'd want to invest our time with. So I was like, yeah, let me try it out. And so he didn't really shove a flavor in my face, like, because he was basically starting his journey at that moment in time.
Yeah.
So he didn't even really know what the flavors were about or anything like that. So there wasn't much to show me.
Mine was a phone call. "Johnny, you got to try this blue thing, the blue thing." And I'm trying to do my mom's Italian accent. "The blue, it's a blue." I was like, "Okay, Mom, I'll check it out."
Hey, mama knows best.
Yeah, it's called the blue. I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, blue."
But it's funny because like right after that moment in time, after because my first purchase, like you, John, was the blue kit that I forget what he bought. I don't know if he actually got the blue as well. Maybe that I've just bought what he bought, thinking, oh, okay, well, that's what's available. But it was like not long after that, that's when I started seeing like all the ads for it and commercials and celebrities, with their blue and all that other stuff. And it was like, wow, this shit just kind of came from out of nowhere. It's like just kind of like wasn't there 1 minute, and the next minute you couldn't get it out of your face. But I was still, at that time, I think guys were still wrestling with the idea that they'd be made fun of if they had one of those little light up cigalikes in a bar and stuff like that.
Robot with a penis in your mouth.
Yeah. Why are you vaping that girly shit and stuff like that? So I mean,
man, grab Marlboro Red.
Yeah.
All right, let's go through some of these before we go into advocacy. Marley, Vaporesso, Vandy Vape, OBS, Times Vape. I'm trying to. Dob Pro, which we don't want to get into that one. I don't want to talk about that brand at all right now. And Geek Vape. I got
Times Vape. What did Times Vape make? What was the device that they made? I don't even know if I ever even owned anything by them.
Oh God, I can look
Mm.
it up real quick.
The name I remember. I just
I
don't
remember
remember what it was that they made.
Times
Google,
Big.
here I come.
Google. Oh, they were mech mods. They were mech mods. Tube mech mods, Tim.
Okay,
The
yeah.
ones that were shaped like they had, I don't know how to hold on. It's much easier if I just do this. They're shaped like a bedpost, a brass bedpost.
Well, they still have a site.
Yeah, they still have.
Yeah,
Am I
I'm
over
looking at. They still
21?
have a live site.
Yeah, there they are. Nice,
Yes, you can.
nice,
Yeah.
very nice looking mods. Very nice looking mods.
Yeah, the splatter mods. I remember the splatter mods.
Yeah.
I just never owned one.
Deep Cuts, M Turk, Twisted Messes, and the K Fun. K Fun, you just had to know what you're doing. That was all it was about K Fun. You just knowing how to use it. M Turk, that is, I'm gonna be honest, that is, I hear great things about that e-liquid, but I have never ever tried anything from M Turk. I don't know why. I've been to a lot of shows, seen their booths. It's just a brand I didn't. And Deep Cuts, everybody's fucking had Deep Cuts for.
Yeah.
Now Deep Cuts, is that a Jersey or New York? I think they're right in that. I think they're in that area because I think, was it Deep Cuts that had the issues with Jersey? I think manufacturing out of
Would it be Jersey? I think it would be New York if you're having
maybe
issues.
New York, or yeah, because them and the other company with the two birds on it. I can't remember the name of that company either right now. These going old
There we
school.
go.
Rifleman.
No, you got to roll your R. I made that early mistake. It's Rifleman. Rifleman. Yeah, no, Yeehee got them. I have those. I actually like my Yeehee devices. There are people that are partial and are not fans of Yeehee, but I have that. Vaporesso, absolutely. Vupu, Uwell, of course. Dicodes, I never owned anything from
Yeah,
Dicodes.
that's more UK, your Eastern Europe. Pam started the Smoke Nova 4. I kind of remember that one. Mr. Freeze Strawberry Banana Frost.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze. Yeah, I remember that line very well. Yep. I gotcha 69.
I gotcha 69.
Has a legacy now. Taught him how to build. I actually learned by watching YouTube.
Yep.
And I was one of those people that was like, I had all the little ego things and all that. And then I'm watching these videos on YouTube with these people making coils. And I'm like, that's too much work. I'm never going to do that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not even going to invest. And then like a week later, I'm buying friggin' wire and I'm, learning how to hold it.
Did you do like me though, Tim, and over order because you thought everything I ordered was 100 feet, and everyone's like, "Dude, what are you doing?" It's like, you're gonna have wire.
No, I didn't. I bought smaller supply of the wire, but I bought all the other stuff that like 10 minutes before I was never going to own, like an ohm reader and a coil, some kind of a. They had the coil puck. I don't know if anybody remembers the coil puck. It was basically just a chunk of metal that was round, and it had these little compartments on it, and you could open the compartments, and it had the little rods, and then you could put the rod in the puck, and then it gave you something like nice to hold on to, and then try to roll. It had like a little hook so it would hold the wire, and then you could practice rolling your Canthal. But I struggled with Canthal. I did all the shit that everybody said to do. You got to oxidize it and soften it up a little bit. And then I would try to roll the coil and pinch it. And I had such a rough time. And that's just single wire. That's just single wire, let alone exotic stuff like aliens or anything like that. So.
No, building. And then I remember seeing the first ribbon coil. And what Zophie is the one that showed me how to do a ribbon coil, and that was not what is that thing not a ribbon coil? What is that thing you guys do at your hair? Braided coil. It was a braided coil, and I went video after video after video looking, and I couldn't get it down, and then I found her video. And I watched it, and I was like, next thing you know, I was making a braided coil, a flattened braided coil, because of her, of all the fucking channels that I learned how to build a fucking coil. Zophie vapes.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched all that stuff. I didn't have the moxie for it. I think the most I ever did was a parallel.
Yeah.
That's it.
Nasty Jews.
Yeah, well, everybody had that experience right out of the gate. The just all that, and then for me, it was just all this. It was all the mainstream stuff that I could get my hands on at the time. Blue, V2, Halo, all that commercial, that somewhat commercialized stuff that was, website based.
And there's a name that was just so big. Dinner Lady it's just weird how that brand just literally took fucking off. I mean, it just took, you couldn't find it. I would try to order it, sites out of stock, out of stock, out of stock.
I remember those coils, Addy. The ceramic flat coils, the little discs that you said look like lifesavers. That was what was some attempt at innovation at that time. What was that? Wait, go back to that other comment. I wanted to read.
You got it. Tom's comment.
Tom Morowitz coming in. Wenax fan. I've never even heard of Wenax. I do know. Does everybody know what this loose piece of skin is called on the back of your elbow? the thing that you can pinch and it doesn't hurt. Like if you've never tried that, go ahead. Do you know what it's called? I bet you somebody in the chat knows what it's called. It's called a weenus. That's called the weenus. So if somebody grabs your weenus,
you kicked her ass. Don't you touch my weenus.
I feel so violated. He touched my weenus.
Aspire was big for a lot of us, especially anyone that's been vaping for 8-9 years. I mean, Aspire was, and
I still carry a ton of Aspire stuff.
Right. I mean, that's every time someone tells me they want to get into vaping in the beginning, even in the Zamplebox page, I kind of told them to stay away from Smock and stay away from some of the other brands because what I started realizing was every shop I went to in Northern California, they had Aspire coils. Every single shop. Yeah. So I was always telling her, if you're in a pinch, something happens, we all do it. We think we still got a little bit of life left in that coil. We go out on a road trip, and next thing you know, we got this nasty friggin' taste. We don't have a coil. You stop in a vape shop. I don't care what vape shop it is. They always have Aspire coils. Always.
Yeah.
Oh.
God, we could never get rid of those.
But that brings me to a question. All right. So now that John, that you brought that up, because I think that we all, in our best efforts, we're just trying to direct people to what we felt was reliable stuff that people could spend their hard-earned money on and have and get some mileage out of whatever it is they spent their money on. Do you have any guilt now, looking back, from discouraging people from buying particular product lines? Because we do tote the line and say, oh, it doesn't matter. Whatever keeps you from smoking works for you. I'm not going to criticize. But then we turn right around and we're like, don't buy smoke. Don't buy smoke. Their coils are garbage and stuff like that. So I do have a little bit of internalized guilt for harping on brands so hard. But then there's also a part of me that felt justified. So,
you saved them the bad experience.
Yeah, exactly.
And that might have been the reason they gave up, because something was not working consistently.
Exactly. And that's why I started, with Smock, whatever you want to call them. What I started noticing on a Zamplebox page at that time is a lot of people bought that sub-ohm tank. And then everybody was really happy with the coils that came in the package. It was that reorder of coils that they ran into issues, whether it was a washer. And when I started seeing the tips and tricks for that fucking coil, I was like, are you serious? Who the fuck is going to take a needle and pinch the coil, the cotton in that little coil to loosen it up? I'm just like, all this stuff. Oh, this one was the best one. Remember these two? Do you have an orange O-ring on the bottom, or is it a red?
Yeah.
Is the O-ring down there? Do you see? I'm like, throw the fucking thing away. Go get something else. Go get a Crown tank. That's what I was telling people. Either Aspire or Crown. I said those are your two best. That's before Falcon came out and some of the other better some tanks. But yeah, I was just like, are you freaking kidding me? Oh, I found the secret. You take a little needle and start pinching. Are you freaking kidding me, dude?
I did that though. I actually did that to loosen up the cotton. I mean, those were the things that we hunted for on YouTube, because we were all having the similar problems. Like, why is this shit like get so tight so fast, and
Mhm.
you know, and I'm getting dry hits all the time. But I mean, I think it was 50% the technology at the time. You know, the people
Yeah.
hadn't really perfected it. This is before all the TFV 8, 12, 16, 24s that were coming
Yeah.
out. I mean, we were just having to struggle through it. Like I remember looking up videos
Yeah.
just on like certain leaking issues in tanks and how to fix it. And oh God,
We used to sell so many of the E-Leaf 30 watts, and people would just crank the tank down onto that thing and push the pin all the way down so then it wouldn't connect after a while. And they'd be like, I need
yeah,
a new adapter. And they buy a new adapter and they're like, it's still not working. And I have to have the little flathead screwdriver. And I'm like lifting
prying
up.
it up.
I
Yeah,
can't tell you how many times a day I had to pry up somebody's pin. And I'm like, you don't have to put it on that tight. It's still going to connect.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, it was the pairing. What I picked. It was the pairing between the alien mod and that smoke, and that thing just took off. Everyone's just like, okay, that alien mod that drove me. I was like, why do people buying this?
Oh,
You
the
know?
gun, the mag
Yeah,
or whatever it was, the gun
the
mod that was like
original
yeah.
alien. Yeah, I was just like, God damn it! And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, oh, my screen don't work, or
Mhm.
the battery door won't stay open. It doesn't work anymore. And I'm like, yeah, there you go. And then back then, a lot of people were buying them in vape shops. And I remember going to a vape shop just down the street here. And I was like, okay, let me go check this out. And I went over there and I go, how much for the mod? He goes, 125. I said, you fucking gotta be kidding me, dude.
Yeah,
I'm paying 125 for that thing.
Yeah.
not this kid.
The worst
No.
part too was all of the sub-ohm tanks. They would come out with a new sub-ohm tank like every other month, but it would never have the same coils.
Yep. Yep, yep, that was it. And who brought up Aspire? I mean, those the BVC coils.
BDCs and the BDCs.
Yeah, those have been around for so long.
Yep. Yep.
Allie, you got and Tim, do you have some vape news?
Yeah, we
Advocacy?
have.
Yeah.
Allie's slowly turning into the vape advocacy news
I
source.
forgot you were here. I forgot you were here.
I'm turning into that.
Well, no, she is. She is. She pulls the best articles. I'm like, I half the time I'm so consumed with work. Half the time I don't have the time for an hour or two to go looking. So I just go right to her page.
Yeah.
Just go right to her page.
Me too.
So,
Me too. What's new? Before even going to Vaping 360, just go to Allie's page.
I've already
Well,
posted all the
Let me give you the proper intro.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
having
been so
trouble
long.
getting my my source up here. Hold on.
It's been so long since I hit that button. Yeah, I just go to Allie's Twitter account because she posts them all right there. So
There
yes,
we go.
I agree, dogs. I agree.
Well, we have quite a few. So, I mean, we could either start with the one that I kind of thought was interesting, and I did read this article during the course of the day, was cigarettes are cool again.
Oh, thanks. Amy.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
I do
Thanks.
the AVM newsletter. I appreciate that.
Exactly. So, well, you know, well, the reason why I jumped to this one first, let me share. Hold on one second. Let me present.
Present, Timmy.
I'm getting there. Hold on one second. Don't rush me. I'm slow.
Okay.
Where is it? Here it is. Okay. I don't like the way StreamYard set it up, so you have to find the thing that you want to share. You should be able to share whatever window you want. But the only reason that I thought this one was interesting to actually get into is because I like the articles that kind of call out the regulators. You know what I mean? They basically show them what their actions have resulted in. And basically, you know, this one isn't really addressing anything new that I don't think most of us were unaware of, because, I mean, when you consider what happened in San Francisco and stuff like that, but it does highlight, you know, what some of these consequences are for these policies that they do make. And, you know, and we say it all the time, you know, they prop cigarettes up all the time. They never really kind of beat that side of the market down. I was thinking about tweeting today, and say, let me entertain the naysayers for a hot minute. And I only have so many characters to talk about, but I'm like, if they're going to protect cigarettes, and we already know what the absolute harms of cigarettes are. Good night, Michael. We already know what the absolute harms of cigarettes are. I mean, shit, those things will kill you. Give it enough time. I'm like, well, then why don't they prop up vaping? Because they talk about vaping like it's, the dengue fever or, Ebola outbreaks and stuff like that. I'm like, if they're going to promote cigarettes, which are deadly, then they might as well promote vaping. But I mean, it did kind of go into the idea that, they keep passing these laws which don't seem to make much sense at all. So they go ahead and they want to ban all this stuff and keep it away from everybody because of, the harm to kids or whatever it is. But it just basically, causes the black market to grow. It causes more harmful things to find their way out on. Is this the right one? Am I showing the right article? No. Well, this is cigarettes are cool again. Well, there was another one though.
This
Allie.
is about the Hestia company.
Okay.
Like,
so
yeah.
I
So
think I pulled
the New York
wrong
Times,
one.
and I just shared a tweet. And this stuff just drives me insane. So we had like a interaction with them on Twitter because their Twitter page, if you've looked at it, is insane. It's just glamorizing cigarettes. But this one tweet that I just sent to the private chat,
Okay.
I don't know if one of you guys want to put it up. This is the stuff that the Hestia cigarette company is proudly sharing on their Twitter page, and it's pretty insane. Scroll up to the comment. No, scroll up to her, like the top. What she says.
There you go. Okay,
Yeah.
there it is.
I can't read it.
It says, these were really good and all, but I've recently been plagued with the mark of the beast vaping. Someone help. Yeah. Like this stuff that they post, I made like a meme, like I do. And they reposted it. Like they're just insanely obnoxious. Like if you go through the page.
I got some suggestions for her. Take a
But they're
few more
just-
steps off that roof.
But they're just trying to, like, they just posted something the other day. Oh, so you vape? Tell me more about your Chinese chemical sticks. Hashtag have a Hestia. Like, infuriating that these companies like this. Could you imagine, a vape company trying to find influencers to, I mean, and then proudly posting it all over, their page? It's just, it's really, really frustrating. And where the fuck is Pave? I'm sorry. Where is Pave? Like, why are they not paying attention to this? Like,
they're working on that free cheese tray they got and bottles of wine.
This kind of stuff just makes me really mad.
So what's the gimmick with Hestia? I mean, like what sets them apart from?
Well, apparently they're all natural tobacco, no added anything. And they try to kind of, and I even said this back to them, because if you go on their website, Gatsby, stop. They basically are posting like, there's like little comments that come up on the bottom of the screen of, celebrities and like just basically like celebrity smoking tweets, or like comments or things like that. But their story, the last line of the story, which really is frustrating, it says, so basically, this is his ritual, collecting myself for the day. It's certainly a myth that tobacco is good for you, and maybe there's still some kernel of truth in that after all too. So basically kind of backwards comment saying that smoking could potentially be good for you.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't that the story of 50 years ago when they would tell you the smoking is good for you?
Help you
I can't, I mean, are we to believe that this kind of marketing campaign or this kind of communication out to the general public, that anybody in their right mind, certainly at this point, would believe that smoking is good for you in any way, shape, or form, whether you smoke or not?
But I think so, because if they think vaping is so bad, some people actually commented, I started smoking these to get off of vaping. So like they think that this is an all natural, tobacco cigarette. So they're like, oh, this has to be healthier because they're terrified of vaping because of what they're seeing in the media.
Right.
And so these guys are kind of playing off of that, like, that attitude right now and trying to capitalize on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reading other little segments of it, but it just said that you can get these cigarettes. Well, not that I'm going to buy them because I'm not, but I mean, they sell them in Florida, Minnesota, Mississippi, and Texas, and they're seeking influencers in major cities in California and New York to promote these cigarettes.
Yep. Yeah, and they just, if you look at their Twitter page, it's literally just people posting about how much they love their cigarettes.
It's just like the person that says, I'm okay, I only smoke like 2 or 3 cigarettes a day. Those make me laugh. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. So you're not going to die from lung cancer. You're not killing everybody around you as well. But yeah.
Oh, they just, sorry. They just retweeted this. Vaping is unattractive. Only cigarettes are cool. Cigarettes will attract the type of man you might want and repel losers, whereas vapors attract losers and repel the best people.
All right. Why don't you, Allie, tag Pave in that? Somebody
Oh,
should
we
tag.
were. I mean, we were tagging them the other day.
Oh, they are staying away from it then.
Yeah, of course.
They're staying away from it. Yeah. They don't want to. What is it? They don't want to get their hands caught in a cookie jar.
They don't want to talk about tobacco. They have real issues to tackle, like vaping.
Yes, they focused on vaping. Those damn flavors.
They're not parents against tobacco. They're just parents against vaping.
That's right. Yep. They only have one particular issue that they want to address, and that's just vaping. They don't seem to care about it.
Yeah, I still see that sign every now and then when I'm looking up advertisement for cigarettes. That one always comes up. More doctors smoke Camel cigarettes. And I love it. There's just a doctor, picture of the doctor at the end of the bed holding the chart, patients dying. Oh man.
God.
Well,
anyway,
it sucks because for they can't stop us, the consumer, from saying what we want, but it pretty much the businesses, their hands are tied. There's only so much they can say or do that isn't going to come back to hurt them. So it's difficult. They're kind of in a situation where let me look at it this way. Even before all the nonsense, I don't think I remember ever hearing, oh, vaping is going to make you live longer. I don't think I've ever heard that ever. And, or vaping's, I've always heard, hey, vaping is better for you, or vaping is, 99% safer than smoking. And I never heard anyone say that, oh, I'm just, I'm going to live longer, or
you're going to live forever in your little vape bubble. Yeah.
I think those are unintended consequences of the message. You know what I mean? Yes. If you get away from cigarettes and switch to something else, I mean, whatever that method might be, and it's in the form of some kind of harm reduction, it's probably a good chance you're going to live a little longer. Yeah. But we never touted that as a selling point.
No.
For vaping. I've never said those words. I've never said that it's totally healthy. I've never said that.
I just tell my story to people. I think that's the most impactful way. And especially working at a vape shop, you're not allowed to say any of those things anyway. Right. So the only thing you can do is share your story about 50 times a day.
Yeah, you can only just share the benefits that you physically have seen in yourself. Right. And I think that's what a lot of companies are banking for. And that's why it's so important for you guys to share that story. Even if you think someone doesn't want to hear it, just share it. Hey, look.
It's just crazy that with all the restrictions around things we can and cannot say in this industry, that a cigarette company can be doing things like this and nothing happens.
Nobody cares. Yeah, nobody cares. Well, what states did you say again?
Regardless, that's still against the FDA. You're not supposed to be doing things. That's marketing. That you're not supposed to be doing that stuff.
Right. So
it sounded like you said it sounded more conservative states. I think from
Florida,
it's still an FDA issue.
Yeah. So you had Florida, Minnesota, Mississippi, and Texas, but they're looking for influencers in the major cities of New York and California that obviously have a ban on the sale of flavored e-cigarettes and stuff like that. So they're trying to amp up their market in their major cities, because those are two places. Well, they named all. I mean, in New York, that's typically New York City is a big, social, environment. Go out, party, party all night kind of thing. So that's why they want that hipster kind of vibe to go along with it and make it seem cool. So when you're out with your friends and you got a Hestia, you're
anybody
cool.
look to see is there, what I'm trying to get to, is there just a lot of subsidiaries to certain companies? Has anyone dug deep to find out who's funding this company? I mean, dug deep, because I'm willing to bet it somehow, some way, it goes back to one of the big boys.
It does. I mean, here it doesn't really indicate anything. I don't know who's behind any of this. So,
Lindsay, if you're out there, do some research.
I mean, she's the one who wrote that article you're just reading. We did a bunch of research on them just to be able to put together a tweet, because the article in the New York, was it Post? That what it was, right? New York.
Oh, you did too. I posted
New York Times.
Yeah.
Oh no, he wanted the post to the quote.
Oh, to the quote. Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, the Twitter quote. I want to look up this Hestia website.
Yeah, I'm sure if you dug deep enough, that they're being funded by one of the big boys. I'm sure of it. You probably have to go through 3,000 pages of fucking information, but I'm sure somehow, some way, one of the big boys has their hands in there, because they've tried to push similar product, less harmful cigarette.
I don't know. I mean, their story is, and they're out of, I think, North Carolina.
So it could possibly just be a grower, just an individual.
Yeah.
Who just,
So
they've stripped
their angle is
down to its perfect, environmentally respectful ideal.
Ooh, that means it has no shelf life. That means you got to smoke that pack like ASAP.
Range-free tobacco is better for you than.
Right, you're freezing up, Tim, but I like where you're going, dude. Our tobacco.
Yeah, I know, because it's whenever I open up a website.
We don't use any pesticides.
Website. Hold on, I got to get past the year I was born.
You remember?
Well, it says from seed to smoke or something. From seed to smoke. It's time you met an honest tobacco company. Hestia is American farmer grown since 2010. Am I still frozen?
No, you're good now.
I missed the point.
That statement made me laugh.
The statement made me laugh, what you were saying.
Oh, what, from seed to smoke? It said in the early 80s, a handful of naturalist farmers began growing purity residue clean, natural, in parentheses, tobacco, then spearheaded the USDA's organic certification program about a decade later. Disappointed with the deficiencies that a certification today, we work with these farmers to focus on growing the best tobacco on planet Earth. So I guess what they're trying to say is it's more of an organic product.
But if you go, but then click on the fact page, and the first thing it says are Hestias organic? Absolutely not.
All right, I might freeze. Hold on. Okay, yeah, it says, are Hestias organic? Absolutely not, and I remain quite proud of that distinction. The USDA organic certification damaged much of the soils used to grow tobacco around here. So they're just refusing to accept the fact that they fall under an organic product definition.
Yeah.
Right.
Now they've gotten, is this a product that's been approved by the FDA?
No.
Hell no. But they do have the warnings on their page, the stuff that they're supposed to say.
Right. And that's the whole thing, because they're saying that they're a better cigarette, but then it says, are they healthy? And they're not any safer than any other cigarettes. So they're saying it right there. And that's something that I shot back to them when we were having our little conversation. I was like, you're sitting here saying that your cigarettes are superior. People are thinking the way that you're presenting them, that they're healthier, but right on your website, it says that they're not safer than any other cigarette.
Yeah, they can't say it is. Oh, it would be nice to get them on the show. Somebody send them an email.
God,
So to that end, though, they note here, they say, obviously, we don't use pesticides or chemical fertilizers sprayed on, and there are absolutely zero additives. It's completely wwonderful and natural, or as we're calling it, naked wild tobacco. So basically, they're just putting a seed in the dirt and letting it grow, and then calling that the most natural tobacco that you could get
hipster
your hands.
seed.
Yeah,
But somebody's got to put 4,000 chemicals in a cigarette to get you
yeah, that
to
one
the
has
end
half.
game, right?
That one only has half. That's 2,300,
Oh, that's
2,200.
nothing.
And
4,000 bad,
yeah,
2,000
and then they
nothing.
have hippies that walk the fields and talk to the tobacco as they walk
The
down the field.
happiest tobacco plants on the planet.
Well,
You're
and they're
doing
kind
so
of
good, Grow, baby.
yeah, they're kind of playing the indigenous card as well. They're
Mhm.
stating that their
Yeah,
farmers are basically, Indian reservation native peoples and stuff like that. So, this
yeah,
is
yeah.
their angle, but
Yeah,
we're
most of those companies are going to go with that "we're a small business" motto to try to get the general public to feel sorry for them, because big corporations are taking over. No, we're a small local North Carolina company that puts a seed in the ground, and we have hippies walk around talking to the plants, and we only use certain water. And bullshit,
Yeah.
bullshit. It's the same fucking
Mhm.
crap.
Right.
You still got to light it, and you still got to inhale it, and you
Yep.
still got a cigarette bud that's going to be thrown on the ground.
Right.
That's
And
going
if
to
there
take
was something to the process that made it less harmful, then they'd be able to state that, but clearly
right.
they don't.
Yep.
right.
They say it right there, but they're obviously not broadcasting that on their page. They're basically,
Yeah.
digging into this and kind of encouraging these people that are making fun of people that are vaping and trying to make it look like it's not as cool as smoking.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that their advertisement's going to go much longer. I don't think they're going to get away with that type of advertising. I think somebody's going to step in. May not be paid, but I can see
I
somebody
mean,
step.
paying for tobacco-free kids, somebody.
Yeah, somebody's going to step in and say, "Okay, you're selling nonsense here. Smoke and mirrors. Let's have the truth."
Well, I mean, that New York Post article went
Do you
out
guys
from
see
that.
any other tobacco companies advertising through Twitter? Like, I don't see
Never.
Marlboro
No,
ads.
but I
I don't.
never would have seen that without somebody pointing it out to me. I'm sure maybe smaller businesses that know, that take more risks, maybe that
Right.
maybe don't know how great the consequences could be. I don't know how, but it is
Yeah.
possible.
Well, obviously they're looking for people with what was her numbers? By any chance, anybody look?
I did not.
I can't go back here and click. Well, she's got low number. Well, 8,037 followers. So they considering her. Usually the 10,000 mark is influencer.
I think they're literally, I mean, if you go through their Twitter page, they're literally reposting anything and everyone that's posted.
Oh, they're just okay. They're reposting people that are okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's insane.
Silly.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on. So should we talk about the misconceptions of vaping?
Sure. Let me go get some alcohol first. But go ahead.
All right. Yeah. Well. I mean, I think most of us can identify with these, but I thought this was a nice little article just to kind of help educate people, because I don't know about you, Allison, but I find myself really not so much spending time on converting a smoker to a vapor, which I'm glad to do at any time the opportunity presents itself. But I think what I find myself doing more often now is dispelling the myths that people have grasped onto that really don't have a dog in the fight. Like, they're not smokers to begin with, but they read the same channels that, the things that pop up in the same channels that we're exposed to. And of course, they have to determine how they want to consume that information. So, I get a lot of the same kind of banter, like, "Whoa, isn't that like supposedly worse for you than smoking?" And isn't nicotine bad for you and stuff like that. And so, I feel that I have a duty to at least try to dispel some of those myths and misconceptions that are put out into the media, despite all the hooyah, where you're talking about, the ED and hair falling out and losing your teeth and like all these sensationalized things that they like to talk about. But I do think that there's some baseline misconceptions that that people have lost that or don't know the actual truth. I mean, as a matter of fact, I actually showed somebody the video where they did like the smoking versus
With the
vaping.
cotton, yeah.
Yeah, with the cotton under the
Vaping
glass.
demystified. Oh yeah, I show that a
Well,
lot.
exactly. So, I felt it was necessary to at least kind of show that video to them to see like, ultimately what a cigarette, and they're aware of how bad a cigarette is. It's not like they had some grand awakening to, oh shit, that's what cigarettes do to you. That part was consistent. It was just more about they didn't understand vaping in general, and didn't use it to help them quit because they were a smoker previous to that. So, but I think these, and I'm going to share this one because we can kind of go down the list on these. I think these are all things that, we're preaching to the choir, sharing it with people here in the group. Let me make it larger here.
That's what she said.
But it is a good resource, for information too, to also debunk that stuff and then have, right at your hands there, a study or, another article to go along with it that's connected to a study. But I agree with you. I mean, I still do send information out to the stores to educate them on new products that are coming into the stores. But I find that now I also have to send articles like this so they can use them in the stores, because a lot of people come in and they're terrified. They're like, okay, so I heard a lot of bad stuff about this. Tell me about it because I'm curious and I need to stop smoking.
Right.
And it's great that they made it through the door, but I always think about all of the smokers that don't ever make it to the door because they're afraid.
Of course. And I think, and even in the company that, I'm delivering the information to, it's, they're not going to sit there and tell me not to do what I'm doing. That's not their angle. It's just that they see it happening. They don't really fully understand what it is that's in my hand or what I'm putting in my face. And so they certainly have some of those just generalized questions to where, unfortunately they've only been exposed to the one source that can obviously spend tons of money to put out all the falsehoods. So this, just even if you could just grab 1 through 10, you've got 10 good talking points that you can show that person, which are probably the most common misconceptions that are out there that people will latch onto despite
You have the
slime
link to
mouth.
that, Tim?
What's that?
You have the link for that? You sure?
I do. Yeah. I'll put it out in the private chat. Hold on one second. I've learned that you don't have to copy the whole entire URL.
No.
Once you've gone to it, if you can find the question mark about halfway through the URL, do you want me to just put it in the chat? I'll just put it in the chat.
Yeah, put it in the chat.
All right.
I think these are all the ones I sent you earlier, John, that we're going
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. No.
Well, I was to say, I mean, let's just kind of brush them over real quick. So, misconception: vaping is dangerous. Isn't that dangerous? Isn't that bad for you? Isn't that like, aren't you like, gonna die? I mean, that kind of stuff. And it just kind of states the obvious. First, if someone states that vaping is dangerous, ask what vaping means to them. Vaping is a verb, not a noun. We say that all the time, and I make that parallel. And I say, if I went out on Twitter and I said all of the diabetics are dying from injecting, and then certainly everybody's going to be like, oh my God, we can't take insulin anymore. No, you didn't even ask me the important question. What are they injecting? Now, if it's fentanyl, yeah, okay. I mean, that kind of thing. So I do make that parallel. So, I mean, just in general terms, this is a crucial distinction to make when thinking about THR approaches. Additionally, there are now a few products that exist in the ENDS marketplace that have yet to be vetted by the FDA. Those products should always be questioned until they successfully pass through the FDA evaluation process. Well, I don't know. I
don't agree with that part.
I think that's highly flawed.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, the main statement right there is many of the risks associated with vaping are not from vaping ends, also known as e-cigarettes. So, in general terms, they kind of dispel, is vaping dangerous? Well, we're talking about a verb, not, misconception. All tobacco or nicotine containing products are equally bad for you. There's a continuum of risk used to explain relative risk across the spectrum of tobacco nicotine products. Cigarettes and other combustible tobacco products are on the most potentially harmful portion of the spectrum. However, the risk levels drop significantly on the lower end of the spectrum when ENDS, and you might have to explain that acronym for them, heat not burn and oral tobacco nicotine products. So no,
Electronic nicotine.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You missed number 2.
Oh,
Yeah,
I did. You're right.
just
Misconception. ENDS products have just as many dangerous chemicals as cigarettes. No, that's not true at all. Scientists have evaluated the potential toxicity of ENDS products and have determined that regulated ENDS products have such low levels of toxic substances that they are no different from medicinal nicotine inhalers. I mean, right there, I mean, that should be an eye opener for most people. I mean, scientists have actually done tests, and that's what gets blown out of proportion is the ads that they see, like contains harmful metals and yeah, all kinds of toxic.
I don't know how you're seeing it. Those ads are only for kids. I don't know how you're
That's
getting
true.
that.
Yeah, I know. I guess I got to stop watching Nickelodeon. Moving
Hulu,
on.
Hulu.
Hulu,
Yeah,
all
Hulu.
over Hulu.
Misconception: ENDS products do not help you quit smoking. Well, I think that was dispelled a couple weeks ago with that large study that was done that basically showed that vaping worked. That that people who actually didn't even have intentions of quitting, that were put into the group that were given vape products to try, had less of an interest in smoking after getting involved with that, and then also determined that they would continue vaping to help them stay away from cigarettes. So, I mean, that just got dispelled double fold right there. So, any of those inconsequential people in your life that see you vaping and might have those just general question and answers kind of stuff, it's important to communicate to them too and let them hear the other half of the story, right? There's their side, and somewhere in the middle is the truth, right?
Mhm.
Misconception: the e-cigarette or vaping use associated lung injury, a valley outbreak, was due to ENDS products. No, that's false too. We can take you right to the CDC page and show you exactly what the percentage was of people and this testing that they did and the percentage of people they found that were exposed to the black market THC carts. And that was the absolute source of the issue. Now, whether some people floundered on their self-reports and said they were only vaping, Pinocchio comes to mind with regards to that one.
Papa.
Exactly. So again, that's another one that gets twisted in the media when you use the term EVALI and the term vaping, and you combine those two together. It's unfortunate that the general public only has one vision in their mind. And that's the dude with the flat bill cap outside the building with his jelly donut.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the only thing that they see and they think is, what EVALI was and exactly what it was related to.
Thanks, Tim. Now I want donuts. Allie knows what I'm talking about.
I have raspberry donut up there from what you call it, the loaded stuff up there. I've got that if you want it.
Fresh on.
Misconception: the tobacco industry is targeting teens by introducing kid-friendly flavors and marketing directly to youth to draw them to using cigarettes. There are 3 misconceptions in this single sentence. First, the overwhelming number of ENDS products in the marketplace are from smaller companies, not big tobacco. And we even get called out for being big tobacco. Yep. Like we're sycophants and shills for big tobacco. Like I'm stroking a check from BT.
Didn't you get your check this week?
I did, and it was in the form of Marlboro coupons that I could save up
for a really cool jacket.
for a Marlboro jacket. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's why they pay me the big coupons. The larger tobacco and nicotine manufacturers abide by the rules and regulations of the FDA, and frankly, everything that's in an e-cigarette or a vape device is independently approved by the FDA. Yep. So now all of a sudden you want to put them all together and you want to say that our moon pie doesn't qualify. I think that's a bunch of horse shit, if you ask me, frankly. But at any rate, so that, and what it was the third one, in products manufactured by large tobacco companies, non-tobacco flavor end pods are not specifically marketed and are defined only by the flavor context. So I guess if they want to make a slight argument for the kid-friendly labeling, maybe the novelty stuff that we see, but even most of us don't even know where you can buy that stuff.
And why do they always got to point out mango? Why is mango always the fall guy?
Haters, man. Haters.
Damn people, man.
Haters back
so
off.
Popular.
I.e. mint and mango.
I got your mango freeze right here. So if you want, come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. If you want to come at me for your,
I'll give you $100 for that bottle.
Exactly. So this thing is as valuable as a 20% coupon off at Bed Bath & Beyond. I swear those things are gold. If you walk into a Bed Bath & Beyond with a handful of those things, check over the aisle from you. There's somebody that saw you and they're eyeballing you hardcore right now. And they'll come around to the other side of the aisle and they'll be like, hey, you think I can get one of those 20%? I'm like, should I have like a trench coat on with like 20% best Bed Bath & Beyond coupons taped to the inside of it? You know, I don't know. It's just kind of funny. So I don't know. They need to leave mango alone. Leave us alone. Leave us alone. Misconception. Young people are attracted to vaping ends products due primarily to the flavors. Recent studies have shown that the primary motivation for youth to try vaping ends is to relieve stress and influence from their peers. So
and just because they want to do shit they're not supposed to do. They're young.
We were kids once too. Why do you think we smoked? Why do you think we drank? Why do you think we did whippets? Why do you think we did any of the dumb shit that we did? Forbidden fruit, right? If you're not supposed to have it, we want it more.
Yeah. I mean, the whole. I know this is two different things, but the whole flavor thing is bullshit. Because now I'm going back to the '80s, but you know, pot didn't taste very fucking good, but I still fucking used it.
Neither did cigarettes. Cigarettes were gross the first time I tried them.
Well, because I think ultimately what we were looking for was not the result. Like, what did it do to you? How did it make you feel? Did it give you a buzz? I mean, look at the early kid videos on YouTube surrounding the Juul. It was kids making videos on the different ways that you could get the biggest head rush using a Juul. That was one of them that I saw. The guy had like 6 to 8 of them that he did in his video. The other one was the kids taking the styrofoam cups and shoving like 5 Juuls in around the perimeter of a styrofoam cup and trying to inhale all the Juuls all at one time.
I don't think I ever heard them mention flavors either.
Not once.
Not once in those videos.
Not once.
You can't even taste anything at that point anyway.
Exactly. Misconception. Non-tobacco flavored end products are not important tools in aiding adults move from combustible tobacco to reduced risk products. This claim has been debunked as well. Several recent studies have shown that in those who are interested in quitting smoking ends product users are more successful, which we've talked about that multiple times. That vaping has a higher success rate than even NRTs, hypnotherapy, medications, all that stuff. So that's false too. I wish, you know, would have been nice in this. The misconception is nice, but the person I don't want to talk to is the person who go, well, where's the source? What's your source? It would have been nice if they could have included some of the sources or at least percentages. You know what I mean?
I think if you click on the link though, shown,
right.
I think if you click that, it brings you to the actual. Yeah.
I didn't see that, and there it went. Yeah.
There you go.
All right, so it takes you to the study. Okay, fine. I retract my like Stanton Glantz. I retract my comment.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. I retract my comment.
He retracted nothing. It was retracted.
Oh, that's
for
right.
him.
Exactly. That's right. Well, I'm a human being, and I will admit when I've said something incorrect, and I did in that moment. I didn't see the happy little blue link under that one word shown. Apparently these don't work very well, I guess. Is the
Tim, you
moral
are forgiven, Tim. You are forgiven, Tim.
Thank you. I appreciate you, sir. Namaste. Misconception. Nicotine is harmful. Individuals, even well-educated physicians, mistakenly believe that nicotine causes cancer. How can a physician even be in that camp? Like, how can those people be so divided on that particular subject? What study did they read? What proof do they have to have them in that court to say that nicotine causes cancer when we know that's not the truth.
Right.
Yeah. They've been saying that for, well, I know that they've been studying nicotine for 100 years or plus. They've been studying nicotine.
Look at the 2-word combo, relatively benign.
Benign, yeah.
And we've said it's about as dangerous as caffeine. Of course, anything you use beyond generalized consumption levels is not good for you. Like, don't drink a bottle of pure nicotine, no brainer there. But that's why we also try to advocate when we talk about vaping, even though I do it, I got 25 in this, but this is a pod mod, bit different of a delivery system. But I always try to encourage people, like, if you need this to get started, sure, great. Go for the 36, go for the 50 to try to help you at least initialize your journey, and then make a concerted effort to try to find a way to wean yourself down, because you really don't need 50 all the time.
Why?
Yeah, that's why
Well,
I've always told people when you do get started, and I don't know if Allie does this at her shop, but I always told people when they get started to buy 2 devices. And the reason for the 2 devices is to help yourself wean yourself down. So if you're starting out with 25 or 35, buy something a little lower for that second one, for those times when you don't think you need it, because everybody knows their day. Mornings, it's fucking hard. The car ride is fucking hard. Might need that 50. But at lunchtime, when you're on break, you might not need that 50. Try to start weaning yourself down. I mean,
I would say once you're free of cigarettes completely, then you can start to wean yourself down. Because a lot of the times when people drop their nicotine level too fast, they'll come in and they smell like cigarettes. And I'm like, what you been doing?
Right.
You dropped down to an 11 and you weren't ready.
Well, no. And
hold on, Tim, because I want to know your reaction when that happens. When you have a loyal customer that's been pretty loyal for 3 or 4 months, and then they come in, and because we can smell it now, like fucking 2 miles away, if someone smells like a cigarette. What is your initial reaction when they come in and you get that whiff of them?
I literally do. I'm like, what have you been doing? How's the vaping going? How's your journey? Still cigarette free? Like, and they know, they're like, oh, she got me,
Well, I'm empathetic to the idea, because I mean, I'm speaking for myself. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I'm saying I did that. I dual used. I flip-flopped. I dropped the blue and went back to smoking, and then picked back up with the V2, in a reattempt to reestablish vaping and stuff like that. So I'm empathetic to people falling back to smoking, whether it's stress related, their life, whatever they have isn't working for them. But I think that's where that begs the question to be asked, like, is there any reason why you started smoking again? And at least try to understand why it is that they fell back.
That's what I would ask. Why? What wasn't working for you? Because they're so eager to get that nicotine level down, and they don't understand that they need to. That's everybody's different in that process. Yeah. And if you're going back to smoking, so I'm like, the 18's too harsh. I'm like, maybe it's too much PG. Let's get a different flavor with more VG and back to your 18, and let's see if that works for you.
That's Allie right there. That's why she's amazing right there, guys.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, I struggle too. So I know what worked for me, and I know what turned me off and to vaping, and then what got me, back into it. So I can understand those struggles. And my job is, if you're coming in and spending money with me and your goal is to be 100% cigarette free, or you have a health condition that you're concerned about and you can't smoke anymore, my concern is you being successful. So I want to find out what's going on and why are we not being successful?
Right.
What you said was I love, because a lot of people don't go into the science part of it and suggest that the PG levels were too high. And that's what I learned from someone else. It's just like, what's the breakdown of your juice? And I would tell them, and they would say the same thing. Guys that knew what they were talking about. They're like, hey, maybe try to find something, that's, maybe 60-40 or
sometimes, it was just going from a 70-30 to a 60-40. Yeah. That was the fix.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm glad.
I would always tell them to get 2 tanks though. I'd say, get your battery and get 2 tanks back in the day when it was, just like your BDC.
You're frozen, by the way.
Yeah, we can hear you perfect, but you're frozen.
And you know what? Look at that shit, Tim. She's like, Any
I
of
know.
us would be frozen in a fucked up position.
Yeah, my
Allie's,
mouth is open. I got my finger up my nose or whatever. Yeah, like
Allie's
What
pure
happened?
smile, fucking like it's her like her fucking high school senior picture. It's just perfect.
No,
well, so let me back
I don't
up
know
a
what's
little
happening.
bit because I do want to
There you
There we go.
I do want to
Right
maybe
there.
explain myself going back to the whole 50 milligram comment. I think what I meant is whatever the transitional time happens to be. I'm talking about someone coming right out of the gate who is a pack to 2-pack a day smoker. I certainly believe that 50 is maybe a
Yeah,
relevant crossover for
yeah.
them because they're pumping so much nicotine into their
Mhm.
system.
Yeah.
If they don't have a relative experience, that at least gives them that panacea that they're getting the nicotine that they need,
go.
then they're
Panacea.
not going to stick with
Right.
it. But
Right.
but over time, and certainly not going like, hey, oh yeah, try 50 for a week and then shoot down to 18. Not, I wasn't intending to misspeak. I just meant that we do kind of, because I still see comments on forums and pages from time to time where people are like, yeah, I'm using this and I'm at a 50 milligram and so I try what I think personally is that if you start with a 50 and that works for you to get you going, then you could potentially stick with maybe like a 36 and a pod mod, and
Mhm.
then onboard a more DTL type device or a small mod that can go DTL, and then try to work your way into that 18 to 12 range,
Yeah.
and then have something that can carry you for the day. But you're inevitably going to have those big craving moments where you're stressed out and that DTL just isn't doing it for you. So you need that shot of 50 or that shot of 36, and try to have some balance so that you're
Well,
not moving forward constantly.
when I
Let
was
me
also getting people started, the highest we had was 24. We did have a
yeah,
36 and unflavored that I would give to people that were over a 2-pack a day, and they could add some of it to if they needed more.
right.
But I mean, the highest we made was 24, and people were successful with that.
Yep.
I think Tim and we both started at 18.
I started 18.
No, 36, dude.
Oh,
Oh,
I
you
started at
started at
18.
30. No, I started at 18.
Yeah.
36.
No,
Man.
let me ask you both, because with Juul having in the earlier days when Juul had 78, 80% of the market, do you feel that percentage of people that group of people were going to be ones that were going to wean themselves down, or you think they were that a group that was just satisfied with the 50 and they were just going to stay there?
Well, if you're using a Juul, how do you step down? There was a
Well,
50 and that was it.
eventually
Right, but
going
there's no
to
other
the
option. It's
right,
either
there is
you vape a 50 or you vape nothing with Juul, at
right,
least when it first came. I don't know now, but at least when it first came out, that was all. And it was very, I think, a little deceiving in the marketing, because if we were closed on a Sunday, or, we'd close at 6 on Sunday, and somebody missed coming into the shop, I've had this migraine for 3 days. I got to get my juice. I bought this. I use a 6. I don't understand why the 5s bother me so much. I'm like, yeah, because that's 50. And that happened a lot
Yeah.
when Juul
yeah,
first
yeah,
came out.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I think they stepped down to 25. I think that was was it 35 or 25?
Eventually. Yeah.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think do you th- do you think that it's kind of hard to put a percentage on it, but do you think a percentage of those people were going to try to make that step down, or do you think they were just? I think a lot of them were just happy that they had something that wasn't a cigarette.
I think two
Yeah.
things. I think two things. I think they thought that they could go from going from a cigarette to a Juul, probably not even understanding the level of nicotine that was in it,
Right.
and thinking that just going to the Juul alone was going to allow them to find a way to just kind of fall out of it. Not like a cold turkey ending, but they'll just stick with the Juul for a while, and then eventually they just won't care about either of the two activities. I think that, and then B, to the earlier point, I also think that the majority of the people who were just walked into a C store and saw the Juul behind the counter and was like, hey, I think I'm going to try that. I don't think those people were as inclined to follow the market like we followed the market, and understand and learn that other devices were coming out and there were other levels of nicotine strengths that you could potentially move to try to help them move away from that 50. So I just don't think that they would go looking.
So you're not going to get that explained to you at a convenience store, unfortunately, and that's why vape shops are so important.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, I never did get to number 10, but I'll read number 10 because we got a couple minutes left.
Oh, yeah.
That's all right. I'm not going to share it. I'll just read it. It says, misconception, vaping ends products leads to more addiction than smoking cigarettes. The question around the potential of addiction to nicotine is a complex one, but in terms of ends being more addictive, it is inaccurate. Of individuals who try cigarettes, well over half continue to use them at least temporarily and daily. And I'm actually privy to people who were smokers, transitioned to vaping, and now don't do either. So people have been successful at getting off of everything completely, and the vaping did make a big difference in their life and helping them transition.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
Good way to end.
Good way to end. Because I was going to end on a funny note.
Oh, well, then go ahead. Bring it on.
Because this damn pineapple pizza thing kind of pissed me off. But no, it didn't piss me off. But it brought me to a thing that was on our other page on one of the groups that I'm on. And I want to share it because it makes me laugh. I ordered a pineapple pizza from a Italian restaurant, and this is what I got. That's what I think. That's what I think about your pineapple on your pizza. There you go. Oh gosh. All right, let me take that off. We're done, right at the 2-hour mark. Look at that. Allie, thank you. For those of you that missed Phil stepped on a Lego and tripped, fell, and twisted his ankle.
You guys should totally not make fun of him next week for it.
More ladybug jokes, folks. More ladybug jokes.
Oh wait! I got his ladybug here.
They weren't ladybugs.
I should have went. He stepped on a patch of ladybug, slipped and fell, and hit his head. No, I'm kidding.
You know what I should do? I got it. I'll go ahead and I'll figure out how to Photoshop ladybugs on top of all those little hummingbirds that are zooming around my feeder. And I'll make a video of the ladybugs just swarming the hummingbird feeder and show it to him first video of the day.
All right, guys. Hey, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Always appreciate seeing everybody in the chat there. We love seeing you guys. Share, like, and subscribe. Never say
Hit that bell. Hit that bell for notifications.
Hit that bell. No, always a pleasure seeing you guys. And we enjoy having you guys be part of our show. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Allie. And we'll see everybody next week. Don't know who will be a guest. Actually, I'm going to get this out there because there's somebody I want to come on, and I want our listeners, our viewers, to hound this person because I really enjoy this person, and I think he's an important part of my vape journey and a few other. I talked about him earlier, but Daniel, DJ at LSB Vapes, I sent him a message, so everybody hit him up because I would love to get him back on the show.
Let's get Daniel back on the show.
Yeah, Daniel was a great guest, and I would love to have him back on the show. So Daniel, the Wednesday Night Live team wants you. We're looking. All right, guys, we are out of here. Peace out. Say goodbye.
Guys.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.